Today I'm out here with Stephanie Garcia. Stephanie, you reached out to me recently. So if you could tell me why you reached out to me and why we're standing where we're standing.
Okay, on October 2nd of last year, my 20-year-old son, Jared Garcia, was found dead in that corner. And the autopsy said that he had fentanyl and methamphetamine in his system. And the fire responded and they tried resuscitating him, and the reports all stated that he was astolic, I think is the word, all the way to the hospital. When they were doing the chest compressions and they hooked up the machine to him right here, it was a flat line. So when I got to the hospital, they took me to the room and I knew what the room was, and she said, your son didn't make it. And on August 14th, at 4 o'clock in the morning, he was found unresponsive. And I called 911, and they Narcaned him, and he came through. He became conscious on the stretcher going out the door to the hospital. And I just got up and I just started screaming at him. What did he do? You know, and for the last year, I had him petitioned. He went to jail for trying to kick in my door. And what I didn't realize is that once he stopped being angry outside, he internalized. He turned it inward. His rage was inward. And it was always when he came home from this, or came home from the Haven, or he came home from IR, Recovery Interventions. I wanted him to go to Copper Springs in Avondale, on 107th and McDowell, because I know a lot of people that they've helped. And from the time that he attempted, or what happened on August 14th, to the time he died, everybody who loved Jared spent time with Jared. I mean, he had 3 different families, smother him, like, what did you, you can't do this to your mom. What's wrong with you? Why? We had other family members. 20-year-old stepdaughter of one of his cousins died of an opiate overdose. And he's like, oh, I would never do that to my mom. I would never do that to my mom. And my biggest regret is, like, on Sunday nights on Channel 3, they have a program called Intervention. My biggest regret is us not all coming together and making him go, or giving him the option to, like, go, and if he wouldn't go, then he had to hit the street. Because my worst fear was making him go out in the street and someone finding him dead, and then by being codependent, which I believe I was guilty of, by not letting him, so by just not making him go. Like, even my older son had given me an ultimatum. He said, Mom, if you don't make Jared leave, I'm going to leave. And it never actually came down to that. But that's the only one thing that I will always have guilt about, is that we didn't all collaborate and show him how much love. Because so many people, his funeral was insane, and they tried to put a cap on it because of COVID. And the viewing was capped, but he grew up in Avondale. For the actual burial, he was so loved. He has music on SoundCloud. He just had somebody reach out to him that they wanted to hear his music, and I had to call them and tell them that he passed away, and the person didn't even know him, and he was like, man, he was so talented. And even his friends, when, this is 6 months after he died, we get these emails wanting him to audition for his music, and everybody was like, we knew he was going to make it, he just wouldn't wait. He didn't have no patience. The signs to look for from somebody who's on drugs is just impatience, just constantly moving, and slow them down, pull them to the side, say, hey, what's going on? Do you need anything? I mean, what can we do, to, put you in a better situation or a better light, and love on people, instead of everybody just walks around like they have these blinders on and nobody cares. And I just don't believe that nobody cares. I just don't believe that. I mean, after he passed away, there was a store that he used to always go to right by where we live, at like this little pathway. You can actually see the sign. They just redid it. That red sign, it says the orange store. he would go there all the time, and there was always a lot of, scrupulous activity going on in that alleyway right there. And after he passed away, that man who owned that store, he shut it down. So, when we lose somebody that we love or we care about, it can affect a change. And the message is that if you see something, say something. We can't just continue to walk around with blinders. I was interviewed before, and they said, do you think this COVID had an impact on people in recovery? And I said, yes, because nobody could, every time he was put in IA or the Haven, we couldn't go visit him. And people, the disease of addiction wants you to be by yourself. It wants to isolate you and keep you in your head and to tear you down. And I attribute several factors to, what could we have done different? And one of the things I know that I could have done different is to just worked with other people and came around him and told him, and it's just different with everybody, I think, because some people can do the tough love thing, some people do the codependency thing, and none of us get it right all the time, and some of us make it and some of us don't. And the sad recovery is that in Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, they talk about all the time, some of us have to die for some of us to live. And that's just the sad reality. But if you know somebody and you love somebody and you see them hurting, because someone who's doing this to themselves is hurting, help them. Don't just walk away. Don't just act like it's someone else's problem, or I don't want to deal with it, or I don't want to be bothered. That's a human being, not someone who could contribute positiveness to this world instead of tearing themselves down.
So, my condolences for your loss.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Jared was awesome. I don't know if you want to see a picture of him or not, but he was such an awesome kid. At his funeral, they said he had $1 trillion smile. You probably can't even see it, huh?
Yeah, you probably won't be able to see it they won't be able to see it, but
okay.
What you could do is send it to me, okay?
Okay, I'll send it to you.
I'll try to add it. So, how can people, parents, anybody who wants to talk to you, seek advice, or they want to talk to you, how can they reach out to you?
My email is lowercase sg976362@gmail.com. My Instagram is SteffiG8222. And I would love for people to, if they're in a situation where they don't know whether to go left or right, I don't know all the answers, but I know that on a daily basis, I ask God to use me as a vessel to help people not have to go through what I went through. Because he is so missed. He is so unbelievably missed. It wasn't supposed to happen.
So, thank you for reaching out to me and wanting to share your story. This will definitely be watched by thousands of people locally and throughout the nation and the world, actually. Okay, so hopefully your story will impact somebody, make some changes out there for our youth and parents out there. So I thank you very much, and
You're so welcome, and I thank you as well.
Thank you.